about to change the timing chain on this H6 engine. So it's a 6-cylinder boxer. See how this goes. Should hopefully go alright. So I've just been over with some petrol and brake clean. This gets all the sand and whatnot out, as you don't want that to get in anywhere it shouldn't. Especially when you undo these screws and you don't want in the threads and then inside where the chain is. And that could end up pretty bad. Makes some nice grinding sounds. Or actually get your screw stuck, which could result in a snapped bolt. So I've made up this handy jig so we can get this harmonic balancer bolt out, which are usually pretty tight. So we'll get this on there and hopefully get it out. Sometimes it calls for a bit of extra force. It looks like it's done it. Once the bolt's loose, you can simply get this on there and take it out. There we go. That's the seal we'll be replacing later on. So I've hammered a size slightly bigger into the hole. Let's see if we heat this up, we can actually get it out. So I'll try and heat the back of the threads to break it loose with some torque on it. As you can see, that worked pretty well. It did start to slip, but it just came out. Finally got all these bolts loose. This one was an absolute, you know what, trying all sorts. Finally got it loose. As you can see, the head is pretty mangled on that. Anyway, got there. So I got the front cover off finally. Having a bit of inspection in here, see how it's all looking before we take it apart. All looks relatively clean. So I've cleaned all the old gasket goop off, which is blocking a few of these bolt holes, which would have not helped matters. Used a combination of petrol and brake cleaner and brushed it off with a paintbrush and a wire brush. Being very careful not to get any bristles off the brushes anywhere they shouldn't be. So I've reinstalled the harmonic balancer so I could rotate the engine around. So I've aligned this mark with that mark behind there. I also aligned this according to the manual in that general direction. This is vertical, this pin here. This pin here is also vertical. And there's a mark in there that has to be at the 12 o'clock position. Just see it through there. So I'll do all this first before I take the chain off, that way I don't have to move anything. So everything almost removed. Just have to remove the water pump now. Just these bolts here. Other than that, wasn't too bad really, everything came out pretty easy. There's a bit of Loctite on these here. That wasn't too bad compared to these ones up here. So I have the new water pump here. The old one had a little bit of play in it. Give the shaft a bit of a wiggle and you can feel there's a bit of play in there. But anyway, see this little notch at the top here? I've got to line that up like that. Otherwise these holes on the side here, one here, they won't line up. You can see the thermostat in there as well. So, got new O-ring on here. I'll pop this in and go from there. So I've taken this water pump out again. So we want to replace this O-ring right here. Now, I'm not sure you can see how flat that is. So I'm going to pull that one out and put this nice new one in. So I've taken this old O-ring off here. You can see sort of how flat that is. This nice new one on. That'll stop any water coming out and getting into the oil. So that's the last thing we want. Now we have some new idler pulleys. The timing chain. There's this one. There's a bit of play in there, as you can see. This one's nice and tight. It's no play at all. So we'll put this on and we'll do the same for this one up here. As there's a bit of play in that as well. Now we have this side on. Have to make sure this gold link is lined up with this gold dot there. And we have this dark link here, lines up with that dot. And this one down here lines up with that dot. I've double checked everything's tight, and we'll leave this until last, so we don't want this to wind out until we're ready. Now we have both chains on. I'll double check over here to make sure this gold link lines up with this. This one here lines up with the dot. And we've got all our bolts nice and tight. All new guides. New water pump and seals. Now we can remove these. So yeah, that pops out like that. You don't want to accidentally do that without a chain on there. So I've cleaned the timing cover and where the seal goes. So we want that nice and clean when we're going to put our gasket maker on there. Otherwise you're going to end up with oil leaks, especially down here. So I've got some brake parts cleaner and some petrol and clean that up. Nice and good. We have some of this applied to both sides. So hopefully no oil leaks out of that. So the cover's back on and all the bolts are torqued. Put some new pulleys on here as well. Just need to torque the crank bolt there. This is the list of parts. There's a few O-rings on there that weren't required, as yet it's actually to pull the whole timing cover off and the cover behind it. And I've got some new bolts for the cover as well. As those ones are the new ones there. The old ones had stripped the heads off quite a few of them, so it's best to replace them. This is for a Mark 1, not a Mark 2. It's the Mark 2 here, so there's less bolts. Just need to put it in the car and get it running now. Put in the Heltec computer, go from there. Thanks for watching.